Joins us now, Indiana Senator Jim Banks, a Republican. Senator, good to see you as always. First of all, I'm sorry that I even have to bring this up, but there are policy ramifications to this breakup. And this Trump-Musk feud is spiraling so out of control. Musk just accused Trump of being in the Epstein files. He did not provide any evidence for that claim. What's your reaction to this all?
Well, remember, Jake, as you've already pointed out, this started with a policy disagreement about the big, beautiful bill. And President Trump is right. We have a moral duty to do what he said he was going to do on the campaign trail and extend the Trump tax cuts on working class families. If we don't pass this bill, everyone listening to this show right now is going to see on average families a $3,000 tax hike on working class Americans, factory workers, mechanics, teachers, police officers. The working men and women of this country are going to receive the biggest tax hike that they've ever had before if this bill doesn't pass. So there might be policy disagreements. And I believe, Jake, that the Senate is going to significantly improve this bill. There are ways that we can make up for some of the deficit concerns by adjusting the SALT tax provision and looking at other ways to eliminate waste, fraud, and abuse in Medicaid and Medicare. There are other places to cut more Green New Deal subsidies from the Biden administration. And you heard a minute ago, this has actually been a really good day for President Trump. He started the day off with a 90-minute call with President Xi in China with an agreement that they're going to get together and meet and talk about trade deals that put America first. And then you just heard Manu talk to Senator Ron Johnson, who was a hard no before, and now he's opening the door to getting to yes on the big, beautiful bill because President Trump is working directly with senators. He's taken the high ground with Elon and the back and forth online. He's more focused on passing the big, beautiful bill to support working class families in this country. That's what matters most.
Well, I don't know that he's taken the high road. I mean, he's accused Elon Musk of going crazy, and he's threatened to take away all of his government contracts, prompting Musk to say he's going to cancel one of the SpaceX contracts. But let's turn back to the policy dispute, because you're right. It's about the big, beautiful bill. And Musk's point is that Republicans need to, quote, ditch the mountain of disgusting pork in the bill. I don't know how much pork is actually in the bill. I think the real area where there would be cuts are, discretionary and non-discretionary spending on Medicare, Medicaid. There's Pentagon spending. I mean, there are a lot of things that are not easy to cut, which is why this deficit is such a problem. The spending cuts actually are tough because they hit people in important ways. But beyond that and beyond the raising of the debt ceiling by, I think, $5 trillion, do you not have any concerns that his criticism is going to impact the bill?
Well, like I said, I think there are ways that we can make up for it. And in the Senate, we can adjust certain provisions like the SALT tax deduction. And Leader Thune today talked about eliminating waste, fraud, and abuse in Medicare, looking again at extending the work requirements on Medicaid, and then killing more of the Green New Deal subsidies. And already the bill cuts $1.7 trillion of the Biden-era Green New Deal subsidies. There are other places that we can cut. But there's a big takeaway here, Jake, and that's that you cut spending in spending deals. And this is all about extending the Trump tax cuts on working class, blue-collar American families. If this bill doesn't pass, there are so many members of my own family, my friends, people back home in Indiana. A $3,000 tax increase on working-class Americans in an economy where it's already tough enough, they can't take it. They can't take any more of it. And it would be a big mistake for Republicans and Democrats to allow taxes to go up on working class Americans. So that's what this is about. I'll give Elon so much credit. The DOGE effort, the White House this week released the first rescissions package, which is a direct result of Elon's work on DOGE. We need more of that to cut spending and then cut spending in the upcoming appropriations packages. That's where we do that. This is about extending tax cuts on the people who need it the most.
Well, you just brought up Medicaid. There's an analysis done by the Urban Institute that estimates that if the cuts in the bill are enacted, between 102,000 and 116,000 adults in your home state of Indiana would lose Medicaid. We just spoke to a woman named Jennifer DeWitt. She's in Noblesville, Indiana. She has twin 17-year-old boys who have cerebral palsy. Her son Matthew's on the family support waiver, and her son Jackson, who needs more extensive care, is on the health and wellness waiver. Jackson's had more than 60 hospital stays in his life, including 5 this year. Jennifer says her son Jackson will not survive without Medicaid. Take a listen.
We can't take on the $3,500 a month in feeding tube supplies for our kids. We can't take on the cost of ventilators and expensive respiratory equipment for our medically fragile children. And it's terrifying to us that these are considered an optional part of Medicaid. And if cuts happen, this could be something that could be on the chopping block.
Jennifer DeWitt, one of your constituents, she says this is life or death for her son. What's your message to her?
And my heart goes out to Jennifer, and I can tell her that these provisions will not affect her. She is someone who deserves Medicaid. The work requirements on Medicaid will affect those able-bodied men and women who aren't taking care of a sick child or a sick parent, but who are able to go to work, but who don't go to work. And the CBO and other estimates show that that's several million Americans that will be affected, 5 to 6 million Americans, another a million illegals who are on Medicaid who will be affected by these provisions. But Jennifer is someone who deserves and needs Medicaid for her son. Those are the cases that President Trump is so focused on making sure that they won't be affected. But those able-bodied men and women who can go to work, who don't go to work, they should be in the workforce. That's what work requirements are all about. It's good policy. It's really good policy. It's good for society. It's good for these individuals to give them value with a good job, get them into the workplace. There are a lot of exemptions and exceptions to that, but about 5 million Americans who don't go to work, who should go to work, and shouldn't sit at home and collect Medicaid. It's not fair to everybody else.
Indiana Republican Senator Jim Banks, thanks so much for your time today, sir. We appreciate it.